the tour has ended, but the Fight Oligarchy tour really made lots of headlines, Kate, because Bernie Sanders started this, I believe, through the Midwest, and then continued over in swing states, Colorado, and less of a swing state, but Arizona, New Mexico. He was packing out arenas. I mean, like packing out places. Tens of thousands of people were coming out to these rallies, and AOC kind of gave me like 2020 vibes, because do you remember when AOC was like finally him on the campaign trail?
Yeah.
So, and here are some of the things that he's been saying, because I've been really focused on like, all right, well, what is the message? You know, it's beautiful. People are angry. Again, people are like coming from this, independents, probably some former Republicans. They're pissed about what, Elon and Trump are doing to the government. And here's kind of how he has been ending this, his speeches, how Bernie's been ending them.
But this is what I believe. In every way, not just running for office. That's important. We need great candidates here to stand up for the working class and all across this country. It means that we have got to build the trade union movement. Do we have union members here? Thank you. We're going to make it easier, not harder, for workers to join unions. It means joining all kinds of organizations, making sure your schools are top-notch, your health care is top-notch. So we need you to go outside of the comfort zone you had yesterday. Yesterday you stood and you watched. We don't need you watching anymore. We need you involved in the process in every step of the way. I don't have a PhD in mathematics. In fact, I did pretty poorly in school in math. But this I do know, that at the end of the day, 99% is a hell of a bigger number than 1%. They have the wealth. They got all the money in the world. They got the power. They got the media. But you know what we have that they don't have? We got 20,000 people here in Tucson. And we got hundreds of millions of people all across this country.
So the reason I played that sort of in full is obviously he's talking about kind of like he's going back to the 99 versus 1%, but now it's very apparent that framing is worthwhile to continue on. I mean, the one thing you can say about Bernie is like he's done what Trump has done, and everyone, like, even Democrats and centrists laud him for it, which is like just keep on hammering the same message, and it breaks through, and it's like, yeah, look at the guy who's been doing that. But I love that he basically is like, we need more union members, calling out the trade. We need to build the trade union movement. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. This is a different moment. You're not going to be able to go back to sort of your life as usual. We need all hands on deck. And so, that is that, in addition to, it seems like he is encouraging people to also run as independents. He's not, and we'll talk about how much he's criticizing Democrats. He's not making criticizing Democrats the crux of these tours, but he is very much saying, like, let's think outside of the two-party system.
Yeah, I love what he's doing. I would share your criticisms that you shared at the beginning, and also, like, he's said some other stuff recently that has made me mad. But with this anti-oligarchy message, 99% versus 1%, he's playing the hits, and they're hits for a reason. And I think that people, like, I'm not trying to find any kind of silver lining in what is a terrible situation our country is in right now, but like, it's never been clearer that until we can get money out of politics, like, we are just going to be absolutely. And that's why I love that he's supporting the idea of independents, small dollar candidates running, because the Democratic Party brand is it's in the toilet. It's too toxic.
It's super toxic. It's super toxic. And I did want to, play a little bit of, I mean, we have to keep moving, but I want to play a little bit more from some of the things that he's been doing. This is just quickly, I won't play the whole thing, but he's asking audience members, like, what scares them right now? Like, what is it to live paycheck to paycheck?
Our whole
Hungry? Hunger. All right, let me get some hands back there. Be loud. We got a hand there. Okay, man. Stressful. Stay on that issue, sure.
You're not sure if you're going to be able to keep the heat on.
You're not sure if you're going to be able to keep the heat on. Yes, ma'am.
We're trying to find a way to plan a meal till your next paycheck.
Trying to find a way to plan a meal for your next paycheck comes. Ma'am?
Forget about buying shoes and clothes for your kids. You're lucky if you make ends meet paying bills.
Forget about buying shoes and clothes for your kids. Ma'am?
I mean, it just gives me like chills, and it's like it's something that in my, some of my favorite moments going out on the road and speaking to people in different field pieces I've done is always just talking to people, just breaking it down. You're going to hear some weird stuff. Somebody's going to tell you something weird, but you're also going to hear very real concerns. And like, what other politician has turned the mic onto their audiences, onto the crowd, and asked them about what's concerning them, or what do they, what does this current moment mean for them, or what does it mean to not be able to afford a $400 unforeseen expense and all this. I mean, Trump would never, right? And so many Democrats would never as well, because they're there to sell you something all buttoned up and perfect. They're not there to listen to your problems. They know what your but they know what your problems are.
Yeah.
We're just gonna, they're gonna tighten it up and forget some of you, most of you. Before we talk, I wanted to play a little bit of this AOC clip because she joined and she was also fantastic.
Our goal here today is to commit to building the kind of country we all deserve. So I'm going to take another second here. And I want each of you to turn to the people around you and get a good look. And I want you to greet someone you don't know. Hi. And this is awesome. And I think I don't want to interrupt. But it's because if I can offer one assignment today, before we all depart here, it's to leave this place connected to a new person you didn't know coming into this.
I love that. I mean, look, there's just a lot you can say about this moment. There's a lot you can rally around, but the idea of like connecting to your neighbors, your friends, the people you didn't know, the people whose phone number you never got, but you should have, like, that, the misconnections in life, that is so powerful because it's how we have each other's backs in these fucking perilous times. Let's be honest. So I loved that particular moment. That was in Denver.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's also, I was looking at, thinking about the optimism of that because, people like Trump will demonize immigrants, and then even centrist Democrats, who may have been talking about kids in cages during Trump's first term will say, okay, well, the country is really anti-immigrant right now, so we need to build our own wall. And to me,
a liberal wall, it'll be soft.
A lib wall, build the lib wall. But it's like it feels like AOC and Bernie to some extent. I wish it was more are standing up for a politics of like, no, we actually can change people's minds and convince people through working together, through interaction, through getting to know each other, that, hey, the enemy is not your neighbor. The enemy is like the horrible billionaires that are doing this to you. And we can work together to fight the 1% for a better future instead of just accepting like, oh, everybody's bigoted now. Oh, well.
Exactly. Guess this is what we're doing. Soft bigotry. And just lastly, because we need critique on this. I mean, Kate and I think are critical when it comes to Bernie and AOC, but we're also not people. I mean, I know your commentary, and I know that you're nuanced and smart about it. And I want to say no one's above criticism. And here's my thing about Bernie. Look, he still refuses to go negative on Chuck Schumer. And look, we're in this moment where Schumer just handed his vote to Trump's budget and 10 other senators, and Bernie refuses to go negative. And I would even argue that we're in this boat because Bernie refused to go negative on Biden in the 2020 election.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he was his friend, he was his colleague. They had been working in the Senate together, and he respected him. And look at Bernie, and I'm sorry, but yes, I don't know this interviewer's name, but he does have a punchable face. And I've interviewed Bernie, and a guy is crotchety, but also this guy is a punchable face, and I get it. But he gets so prickly when asked about whether or not AOC should primary Chuck Schumer. And I understand you don't want to talk about horse race politics, but I disagree that it's irrelevant. In fact, I think it's incredibly relevant who's leading the Democrats in the Senate right now. Take a look.
I'm so impressed by her work in Congress and she inspires young people all over the country.
Would you like to see her join in the Senate?
Right now, we have, as I said, just a whole lot of people in the Congress. Okay, Jonathan, thanks.
Wait, I got one more. This is important.
Well, I asked you.
Okay.
You want to do nonsense, do nonsense.
No.
I don't want to talk about inside the Beltway stuff. I got 32,000 people.
I was just asking you about AOC because she was out there with you.
Fine, but I don't want to talk about this. What was the last question?
I was just going to ask you one more question about you. I mean, that's all. I was literally your last.
What is your question?
Well, I mean, it's easier to understand. I mean, I want to ask you about your future. This is the biggest crowd. You said you ran for president twice. This is the biggest crowd you've ever seen. Are we going to see you run again, or what's your future?
No, right now, I am very proud that the people of the state of Vermont sent me back to the Senate with 63% of the vote. Right now, I'm Vermont senator. That's what I do, and I'm very happy to do it. I am 83 years of age, and I'm tired.
Criticism of Schumer has been harsher.
And I'm tired. I love that blast. Okay, so there he basically was like, no, I'm not going to run. I mean, I effectively heard a no. I'm tired. I'm 83. But the fact that he got so mad that he was asked about, he wasn't even asked directly about Chuck Schumer, but it's like, do you want to see her do you think she should be in the Senate? And that's, again, he's hearing that and he's like, you're talking about Chuck. I know you're talking about Chuck. And Kate, he's so good at naming the enemy when it comes to the 1%. But the enemy is also these senators. We have to be able to name them.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, AOC to some extent is a victim of the same syndrome. I saw her praising, condemning Kristen Sinema, who does suck ass, but then she followed that up with praise of, the people that replaced her, and it's like Ruben Gallego sucks. He voted for the Lake and Riley Act, captured by the cryptocurrency industry. And the Steelman case for why they're doing that is that they do have to get along with people. They were somewhat successful in getting some of their priorities and Elizabeth Warren's priorities into Biden's platform. And they probably can't do that if they, burn those bridges or criticize or whatever. But at the same time, it's people it's pretty bad right now. People are pissed. This isn't.
There's so much capital right now to hit centrist Dems. There is so much capital. It's just like the capital around, when it was around Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. There was so much willingness to hit your own party. And there rarely is, Kate, and you know this, we know this every election. Election rolls around, everyone's got to get in line, zip it up, tight, tight, tight. No one can criticize anything. And then you see that who's the one who tanked Biden's agenda? It was effing Democrats. So miss me with all this, I'm not going to talk about Beltway politics. And I've also seen it spun by some people that this is dog and pony show. Bullshit. It's not dog and pony show. It's not the horse race. We're not just talking about the horse race. This is very critical. It is very, very critical to actually use the capital that you have. People are pissed at Schumer. Use it to get better leaders so we can actually fight oligarchy from within. You need to do your end of the bargain, and your end of the bargain is to light up your enemies. And I agree with you. Of course, you've got to work with them. Of course, you got to. I don't think that you should be elected to Congress and just go in guns blazing. I do think that's silly. You'll never get anything done. And I think it's bullshit for everyone who's like, why is AOC not literally fighting every single moment of her waking life? But there are moments, and this is a moment.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. And, I think that there is a way to do it that is an important, probably in my opinion, the most important political education that needs to happen right now is like, look at the candidates who are funded just by small dollar donations by people versus the candidates who are taking lobbyist money. The candidates that are taking APAC money and health insurance company money and, you know, cryptocurrency money. And there is a very big difference in the amount of fight that you see from people who are not taking huge amounts of money. And I would like Bernie to get back to pointing that out, because that's the fight we need to have, is to send, you know, a bunch more people to Congress that are not taking money except from like people who really want them to be in office, citizens, voters.
Yeah, shout out to Kat Abu, who is running in Illinois' 9th.
Yeah,
Very
and I
cool
hope that happens a lot too.
Yeah,
you know,
100%. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do